historic Winchester Speedway in Indiana today. The stars of short track racing will go at it for 200 laps side by side. This is round 11 in the chase for the 2015 ARCA Championship. The ARCA Racing Series is on CBS Sports Network. Coming your way next. CBS Sports Spectacular, it's the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Live from Winchester Speedway in Winchester, Indiana, it's the Herr's Chase the Taste 200, part of the Calypso Lemonade's Short Track Challenge. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Winchester. I'm Rick Benjamin. Jim Trados alongside Spencer Gallagher will join me here as well for the call today. It ought to be a fantastic day of racing. We had a lot of wet weather here yesterday. Today, gorgeous clear blue sky, a perfect day to go ARCA Series short track racing. Jim Trado, what else can you say? This is Winchester.
101 years of history. ARCA's been here since 1957, and for the last 5-6 years, it's been really, really tough competition. High banks, heavy race cars on this racetrack. I looked for the veterans to do well, but last year we had a first-time winner in Brandon Jones.
We sure did, and Jones is back to defend his crown. Now, a former ARCA Series young star, now part of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, Spencer Gallagher joining us here again today. Great to see you. What's this like from the driver's perspective?
Well, you know, this is a racetrack that every driver in the ARCA Racing Series has marked down on their calendar. This is one of the most challenging tracks we're going to go to, fastest short track we go to, and today it's going to be all about long run speed. The guys that are going to win this race are going to have cars that are there at the end.
All right, we'll see how that all plays out. One of the drivers we'll certainly be watching is the series championship leader, who has to start in the second row today. Charlie Krall's got our coverage today down on pit road.
For the first third of the 2015 ARCA Racing Series season, it's been checkers or wreckers for Grant Enfinger. Grant, what do you have to do to put this thing in victory lane here today?
You know, the biggest thing is we got a really fast race car again. It seems like every race we come to with GMS Racing, that's the case. So just stay out of trouble. You know, hopefully we can race with them at the end. We do need to mention a big-time supporter of my career as well as GMS Racing is Kevin Kircher of Triple K Construction. He had some health problems on Friday and couldn't make it here with us this weekend. So I'm sure he's watching the race somewhere. So we're thinking about you, friend.
All right, thank you, Charlie. We'll see how Grant Enfinger does today as he tries to add to his ARCA Racing Series points lead. We are moments away from the command to fire engines here at Winchester Speedway. Right back on the CBS Sports Network.
ARCA Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Calypso Lemonades, proud sponsor of ARCA Racing on CBS Sports Network. Real lemons, real sugar, real lemonade. Calypso Lemonades. By Herr's, presenting sponsor of ARCA Racing on CBS Sports Network. Herr's, live life with flavor. And by Scott Rags in a Box. Save big money at Menards on Scott Rags the whole month of June.
Some scenes from beautiful downtown Winchester, Indiana. We're about an hour or so north and a little bit east of the city of Indianapolis, a little bit north and west of Dayton, Ohio, and a great field of ARCA Racing Series equipment on the front straightaway here today at Winchester Speedway for the Herr's Chase the Taste 200. Race number 11 of the 20 races that make up the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards Championship Drive this season. Another race in the Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge. Some interesting storylines as we get set to go racing here this afternoon. First and foremost, guys, the weather. Yesterday, pretty much a washout. Qualifying had to be canceled because the grounds were so wet yesterday.
68 degrees and overcast, a lot of rain in the area. Spencer, today's a nice hot sunny day.
Yeah, and it's going to make a real difference as to how these cars handled from yesterday to how they're going to race today. The track's green, but there's a lot of temperature on the racetrack now. It's very sunny. Expect this racetrack to take a lot of rubber before it's done with and affect the handling of these race cars.
Because of the weather yesterday, pole qualifying, Menards pole qualifying was rained out. So the field's lining up today according to championship owner points. But we have a pole sitter, his team leading those owner standings right now. Charlie Krall standing by with young Kyle Weatherman.
Kyle, you defeated the twists and turns up at New Jersey Motorsports Park a couple of weeks ago. What's it going to take for you to tame the high banks of Winchester and park this thing at victory lane today?
You know, just like we did at New Jersey, you know, we made all the laps, and, you know, we were there for the end. That's the main thing. So, you know, just the plan today is to make all 200 laps and, like I said, be there for the end of the race there.
Been interesting to see Kyle Weatherman make progress as a young driver. Wins on the road course at New Jersey earlier this season. We'll see what he can get done here today. Driving the Cunningham Ford, the 22 car. He'll start that car on the pole. The Automobile Racing Club of America has been racing now in its 7th decade, founded in 1953. Again, 20 races this year. One of the cool parts of this series, Jim, Spencer, you've done this, road course racing at one track, the 2 dirt miles, a lot of short tracks, and the big speedways.
And you get the feeling of speed here at Winchester. It is like a speedway. For a lot of these young drivers getting the chance under the age of 18 to race in this series, much like Joey Logano did. We got a lot of young guys. Kyle Petty's first ever ARCA race was at Daytona when he was 18 years old. This is a great series. Yes, he did.
Of course, Benny Parsons, former NASCAR Winston Cup champion, a former ARCA Series champ as well. Here's the list of drivers who've gone to victory lane in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards in the first half of this season. Grant Enfinger, driving for GMS Racing in the 23 car, the Allegiant Airlines Chevrolet, wins the first 3 again this year. He's done that before.
Last year he did it, this year he did it, but he's been skunked since. And after Ken Schrader's win at Salem, everybody else on this list has been a first-time ARCA Racing Series winner. 6 straight races. We've had new drivers into victory lane.
You might recognize the names of Trevor Bayne, Ross Kenseth, Matt's son, Todd Gilliland, David Gilliland's son, some second-generation talent. Trevor, of course, former Daytona 500 winner, wanted some seat time in a Cup-type car at Pocono Raceway several weeks ago. Jumped into one of the cars in the ARCA Racing Series and went to victory lane in that car. And Ryan Reed, who's a Roush Fenway Nation Xfinity Series driver, also a winner here just a couple of weeks ago. All right, let's get this field rolling at Winchester.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command for today's Herr's Chase the Taste 200, the promotions manager and spokesperson for Menards, Jeff Habit.
Drivers, start your engine!
So the field of 26 ARCA Racing Series machines, motors coming to life here at Winchester Speedway in Indiana. Field will roll off for the first of 4 pace laps in a moment. We'll be back live from the start of the Herr's Chase the Taste 200. Welcome back live at Winchester Speedway, Winchester, Indiana. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Today, the Herr's Chase the Taste 200. 200 laps of action on this high-banked half-mile upcoming on a gorgeous day for racing. Guys, 71 degrees. Couldn't ask for better, more comfortable weather here in the early part of the summer season. Not much wind out of the west-northwest, and we expect sunny skies all day long.
And the great thing about it is these teams know as the race goes on, the weather will stay the same.
Yeah.
There was always a question yesterday, even if we would get track time, 1 hour practice late in the day, setting the stage for today's race.
Field rolling on the second of 4 pace laps. Let's take a look at our starting grid today. It's presented by Calypso Lemonades. We heard from Kyle Weatherman earlier. He's on the pole in the Cunningham Motorsports 22 car. On the outside, Brandon Jones from Atlanta, Georgia. That's the Ansel Menards Toyota, one of the Venturini cars, car number 25. Points leader Grant Enfinger lines up inside row number 2 in the GMS Racing Chevrolet, the Allegiant Airlines car. And Justin Boston, an ARCA winner in past seasons, former ARCA champion, back in the outside, the second row in the 55 car from Baltimore, Maryland. Michael Lara, Sarah Cornett, Ching, Bo Lamastus, and Thomas Prater in the 6th row. Eric Caudell and Will Kimmel in row 7. David Levine and Clayton Weatherman. And then your final several rows, Mark Munier, James Swanson, Alex Clubb, and Con Nicolopoulos, Wayne Peterson, Mike Abram, Kevin Rutherford, and AJ Fight. Keep an eye on him in the 27 car. And then the last row, Richard Hawk in the 31. Ricky Howerton making his first car start in a race. He's a motorcycle racer. Rick raced sprint cars here a long time ago. First race in, what, 20-some years?
Indeed.
Wow.
First start in an ARCA Racing Series machine.
All right, Justin Boston. We mentioned him a few moments ago. Outside row number 2, back in an ARCA car, one off. That's the 55 for the Venturini team, the hydrauliccylinders.com machine. And Boston will give us some onboard looks today. He's a guy who's going to contend here today, I think.
He really is. You know, Justin's a past winner in the ARCA Racing Series. Racing him a lot myself. Always a great, clean, short track racer. Can't wait to see what he does today.
He's been fast here both times he's been to Winchester. He had some electrical issues last year, but third the year prior. Very, very strong run. Came together late. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does in the 55.
Spencer, you race against him in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Justin told me yesterday, hoping to get his confidence back a little bit with a good run, maybe a trip to victory lane here today.
You know, I could see it being in the cards. I finished first in practice yesterday, and that car's just got the right attitude for going around this place. Look to see a lot of long run speed out of Justin Boston.
Also on board looks today, we mentioned Ricky Howerton, Bo LeMastus' teammate in the Crosley Products 56 car. He'll start shotgun on the field out of Indianapolis. Raced here in open wheel cars, has been a motorcycle racer primarily the last couple of decades.
1990 USAC Sprint Car Rookie of the Year, 20-some starts here at Winchester. There's even a photo of him next to Jeff Bloom and Steve Butler and all these guys back in the 90s racing here at Winchester.
All right, coming to the green, should be next time by, so Ricky Howerton will start 26th in that Crosley Products machine. Bo LeMastus will start further up in the field in the team car, the 42. He is on the inside of row number 6 here today, and he's getting some coaching help, and we hope to hear a little later on from a former Daytona 500 winner named Jeff Bodine.
Jeff's added a lot to his program. Bo is on a 3-year plan, he told me, and Jeff Bodine's very much a part of it as a driver coach here this weekend and every race thus far this season with Bo LeMastus.
Mark Munier in the 68 already to pit road. That's one of the Kimmel Racing Fords. Will Kimmel in the 69 car. Looks like he will be ready to take the green flag. Lots to talk about here today at Winchester Speedway. This track opened in 1914, second oldest purpose-built automobile racetrack in the country, Jim Drano.
The great thing about it is that means it's built for racing, automobile racing, not horses, not on the fairgrounds. This track carved out of this area of the country, beautiful countryside, trees everywhere. I'm telling you, when it comes to fall, it's leaves worried about, but here we go, here we go, here we go.
The 22 car kicking the outside. That's Kyle Weatherman and Brandon Jones. And Jones by half a car length over in turn 2. Boston settling into third, and here's Weatherman on the high side. Now, Spencer Gallagher, you said you thought he would pick the outside.
Man, he made the right start there, getting on the outside of Brandon. This is a high-line racetrack. That's where you can keep the momentum up. It looks like Brandon's going to slide out here in 1 and 2.
Brad Henfinger in the 23, moving to third spot. We're on board with Boston down the back straightaway. Get a sense of just how uneven this racetrack is. Boston to the inside, trying to pick up third from Weatherman. Got a car in the wall. Looks like Michael Lira up in turn 4 has brushed the wall. No caution yet. Lira's got fire out of the back end of the race car, and there will be a caution early here at Winchester Speedway. Michael Lira in that Ford, one of the strong young drivers in the series, very much in the top 10 in points, but something wrong with that Ford Performance 58 car. Lira brings that car to a stop between turns 1 and 2. Now that's a composite body. This is new for the ARCA Racing Series this season. Lira wants to get out of that thing quickly. There's not sheet metal back there, so that will be a little different situation. Michael Lira out of the car. Take a look at what happened here as the leaders funnel onto the front stretch. Lira already in the wall up between 3 and 4.
Impact to the outside wall, and as you rode it down the front stretch, something ignited in the rear of the car. There are fuel pumps in the fuel cell itself, perhaps a fuel line happened to catch when that car made contact with the outside wall.
Well, that, or I'm wondering if maybe an oil line came off, something like that, to send him high into the wall on the first lap of the race.
It's possible. Looking at the marks on the concrete wall, I mean, it's nowhere where he should have been blowing a right front tire already, perhaps, but he hit that wall early and kept on it.
And don't see any liquid on the track, so that would probably mean it was just getting in the wall that caused the problem.
One further point, guys. We talked about the heat in the racetrack. We talked about that 1 hour in practice yesterday. It was pretty much single car runs. Yeah. Putting this many cars in this type of a pack into that first turn is one thing, but 3 and 4 is the X factor. 1 and 2 maybe one way to get around Spencer, but that leaves a whole lot of options, including trying to get near the fence. Might have cost them there.
Caution laps, of course, count in the ARCA Racing Series. One more look at what happened. Michael Lira at the top of your screen into the wall in turn 4, and then fire out of the back end of the 58 car. Brandon Jones will be the restart leader at Winchester. Back live at Winchester, you can see the track crew pouring Speedy Dry down on the very high side of the racetrack from turn 4 down the front stretch, lending some credence to the thought that perhaps Lira got into the wall and knocked some sort of fluid line loose underneath. Michael Lira has to be very disappointed. He's with Charlie Crawl for one of our Crosley Brands Pit Road reports.
Well, Rick, Winchester is a very tough place. It engulfed you here on lap number 1. What happened, Michael?
I don't know. We were bottoming out a little bit, and then all of a sudden it just went straight in the middle of 3 and 4. I don't know if maybe there was oil on the track or something, but it just never turned. So really is disappointing for my guys here at Lira Motorsports. They give me a good piece every week. You know, I feel like we've had a lot of speed all year, and we got some top 5 finishes and some wins coming, but just had a lot of bad luck this year.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Michael Lira from Port Orange, Florida, one of the youngsters in contention for the Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge Championship.
Indeed, his 6th start of the year, 7th start of the year, and he's turning 18 on July 16th. That date doesn't have a room on the calendar anymore. It's been circled and it's gone. He wrote through the paper with the circle around that date. Then he can run the rest of the races on the ARCA Racing Series schedule. This young man very much wants to win a race, just like he did with his team car last weekend. Ryan Reed drove this number 58 to victory lane.
Brandon Jones in the 25 car will be our restart leader when we're ready to go in a couple of moments. One of the rookie contenders in this event today, the driver of the Race101.net Chevrolet, car number 2, that is young Sarah Cornett Ching. And our Scott Rookie Profile today focusing on Sarah. 4 top 10s already this year from Summerlin, British Columbia. A licensed welder by trade who was a sprint car racer, wants to make the transition into big-bodied stock cars. Her way to NASCAR perhaps eventually. Done a nice job in her first season.
It started out as a Race 101 opportunity with Tony Blanchard at Daytona. She went back and tested with him again. She said, I'm putting every dime I have for my welding gig in BC into getting this car an opportunity to drive it. She's run the entire season, coming off of 2 top 10 finishes. By the way, this is her 11th new track in 2015 for this young driver, so she's doing a great job getting acclimated. It takes a while in practice, but I talked to her this morning. She said, I think I need to work on my entry into turn 1. Tony's been very good with her, working through that program as a rookie.
Well, it's one of the great things about the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menard Spencer. You came through this series to get to where you are now with GMS and the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. You learn a lot about high horsepower, hard tires, difficult racetracks, and heavy race cars.
Definitely. I mean, that's why the ARCA Racing Series is one of the best developmental series around. You're going to see fast, intense tracks like this, Winchester Speedway, and you're going to learn what it is to drive a big-bodied stock car at the highest levels of competition, and that's what makes for such great drivers in this ARCA Series.
8 laps on the board, still under caution after Michael Lira got into the wall up in turn 4 a moment ago, and the car caught fire. He's fine. We'll be back for the restart. Working lap number 12 of 200 today at Winchester Speedway. The Herr's Chase the Taste 200, the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Caution on lap 1, a Michael Lira incident up in turn 4. He's fine, car's behind the wall. Safety car heads for pit road. Brandon Jones selecting the outside line. Brad Enfinger in the 23 will start on the bottom. He will line up technically second. Justin Boston restarting third, and Josh Williams in the 6th lines up for it. Green flag back in the air, and Enfinger trying to pull Jones on the inside into 1 and 2. A lot of speedy dry there. They get through it safely, and your leader is Enfinger out onto the backstretch. Down into 3. Jones up by. Remember, Jones stole the win here a year ago on the final turn in a different race car on board with Boston. Working on Williams, battling for third. Williams on the high side in that family-owned 6, doing a great job. Here's Jones grabbing the lead down in turn 3.
He did wait at the bottom there to hold off the charge. The inside line is what the first 4 cars used to get by early race leader Kyle Weatherman. We see the difference here. Just in these few laps, that bottom line has come in just nicely, but Jones knew better. Look at him go low here again into 3.
Enfinger in the 23 takes a look at the bottom. Jones up in the middle of the racetrack, a little quicker in that Ansel Menards Toyota from the Venturini Motorsports stables. Back on board, Justin Boston, the hydrauliccylinders.com on board. Sitting in 4th spot, that's Josh Williams. The Musselman's Applesauce 6 car right in front of him in 3rd spot. Top 2 are side by side on the front stretch.
Frank Kimmel, a 6-time winner here, is the spotter today for his teammate Brandon Jones, who now takes the lead back on the outside.
Jones and Enfinger putting on quite a show. Williams is 3rd, Boston is 4th. The 98 car, Austin Wayne Self, who nearly won here 2 years ago when he was a rookie, driving Mason Mitchell's car, is up into 5th spot in the 98. Top 5 are nose to tail in turn 2 here at historic Winchester. Kyle Weatherman in the Cunningham Ford, the red and black 22 car, next in line. He's 6th, leaders in lap traffic already.
You know, Rick, they lined this race up on owners' point standings. The 22 machine getting the front row because that team has had 4 drivers, 3 victories among them. They had the most points as owners. That's how we set the lineup. Now we see the speed coming to 4. Brandon Jones very fast in practice, as was his teammate Justin Boston, who's right in the thick of things in that white car.
Austin Wayne Self in that black and red 98. The Mason Mitchell Motorsports car makes it a 3-way fight for second. The white 55 is Boston. The orange 6 is Williams. The black 98 car, Austin Wayne Self out of Austin, Texas. Boston reestablishes 3rd in front of Williams.
That was a very good looking slide job there by Justin Boston. He needed to get that done before those tires come off. You see the 98 working over the 6 or 4.
That's the 98 car, last year's championship car. Mason Mitchell moving on, making a few starts in the Camping World Truck Series. Team still operating here with Austin Wayne Self's backing, family backing here in that car. You have driver out of Texas sitting 4th in front of Williams. Weatherman back there in 6th position. Kenny Schrader is 7th. Tom Hessert is 8th. On board here, the 56 Rick Howardson has moved up to 16th spot. Has got a lot of laps here in a sprint car. First four-wheeled start for Rick Howardson out of Indianapolis in 20-some years. Did a very nice job here in the early going. Kenny Schrader made time in the 52. The Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet, the great veteran out of Fenton, Missouri, has a win under his belt already this season in the ARCA Racing Series. Making a move to get around the 22 of Weatherman. The 22 car, meantime, seems to be backing up after starting on the pole. Charlie Crawl, what are you hearing from their pit stop?
Yeah, Kyle Weatherman just reported into his crew that the changes they made in practice are not to his liking. Kyle Weatherman fighting the handling on that automobile here in the early going.
Tight conditions is what he talked about. His crew chief Paul Andrews was under that hood. Kyle's now in the shop every day working with his team. When he's not driving, he's working on it. They were scratching their head last night. They thought they made the right changes, but not the case thus far.
Now, we talked earlier about the Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge. 11 of the 20 ARCA Racing Series events this year are on short tracks. This one of them. Kyle, not 18 yet, not able to run the full schedule. He's leading that short track challenge.
Because he's had a very strong run. Top 5 finishes, top 2 finishes. One at New Jersey, which didn't count, but really, this young driver, every time he gets in the car, he makes the most of the opportunity, including 2 years ago. This young driver at age 15 made his ARCA debut at Winchester Speedway, finished 4th.
In the 22 car out of turn 4, but he is having trouble maintaining contact with the leaders. Leader out of turn number 2, on board with Boston, the hydrauliccylinders.com Toyota, sitting in 3rd spot, not quite a second behind. Brandon Jones, who won here a year ago in a different ride, leading in that 25 car, the Menards Ansel Toyota. 2nd spot as the 42 of Boba Mastis, the Crosley Brands machine, comes to pit road for an early unscheduled, you think, stop. We'll talk pit strategy here in a moment. Here's Boston sitting in 3rd, the 23 car Grant Enfinger right behind Jones as they fight for the lead over in turn 2. Boston about 8 car lengths back in 3rd spot, trying to hang on against Austin Wayne Self. But here's your top 2, guys. This has been a great fight so far.
And Grant backed up off of old Mr. Jones there for a little while, but he's starting to give him a good sweat in here again. It's going to be interesting to see. Oh, we got to rack up in turn 1. Get down.
Trouble. The 9 car of Thomas Prater, the 56 of Rick Howardson, the 55 of Boston. Boston spins the 55 to a stop. Don't think he hit anything. There was a bit of contact with Prater, and then the 56 of Howardson. The 56 sustaining some heavy damage, getting into the wall at both ends of that race car over in turn 2. There's the onboard look. Let's take a look. We do have one of our 2 onboard cameras today in the Crosley Products Dodge of Rick Howardson.
Let's see what happens here.
Down into the corner. This is coming through 3 and 4 onto the front side of the racetrack.
Tries to pull
He's battling with Prater. It's Prater in the 9. Slower traffic on the bottom. Got into him.
Yep. Got in there too hot. Prater had to check up a little bit for that lap traffic and just misjudged the difference of speed going in the corner there.
So Rick Howardsson's day comes to an early end, 31 laps in, doing a nice job in that car. First time he's been in a 4-wheeled ride in quite some time. Justin Boston with a little bit of right front corner damage. He was able to spin the car and stay away from both the 9 and the 56. All right, caution for the second time here at Winchester. We'll be right back. Back live at Winchester Speedway in Indiana, the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Cars involved in the wreck, the 56 there of Ricky Howardson, heavy damage to that Dodge. Justin Boston in the 55, the 9 of Thomas Prater. This is the 56 onboard look. Howardson getting into the back end of the 9 car driven by Thomas Prater, DK Locke Ford. Howardson up into the wall. Justin Boston coming up on the scene now, thinking he might have room to get by. I better spin this thing out to stop it. Just a little contact with the 9 car. And everybody safely to a stop. Charlie Crawl, what are they saying in Justin Boston's pit stall?
Well, Justin got into the 9 just a little bit with that right front fender. They're talking about bringing him down to pull out that right front fender, get that car back into tip-top shape so he can get back up front. They're also going to put on right side tires and hopefully regain some of that lost track position.
All right, we'll see how things go. The Venturini Motorsports team, Billy Venturini, the crew chief, team manager, Let's see whether they bring the 55 down pit road. Now, guys, 35 laps on the board. You've got 10 tires total. 4 you start on, 6 to change. Is this too early to go for 4 fresh tires or 2?
You know, I got to say, if I'm the front-running guys, I don't think I come down right now. Those cars still look like they're handling great. If you haven't got any reason to come down pit road, I don't see why you take tires right this second.
Boston on pit road, though, they're going to put at least a right side set on. They're going to go 2 tires on the right of the 55 and put fuel in. Now, in terms of fuel strategy, we know you can't go the whole 200 laps on fuel either. Will this get you home at lap 35?
I believe it does. 22-gallon cells here, Spencer. You can go 110 miles or thereabouts. This is a 100-lap race. But more importantly, they want to get that balance back in the car. That car was very fast early on a full fuel cell, and I'm thinking that the right front fender, that little ding, is enough to worry about. This team also, looking at how they narrowly escaped a practice crash yesterday, they're counting their blessings now. They've got 7 lives left here at Winchester after that spin from third.
Well, they need to hurry it up. The pace car's slowly making its way down the front stretch. They don't want to go a lap down making repairs here, and here goes Justin Boston.
Boston back down off the jack and away on pit road, the 03 car. That's Kevin Rutherford from Flower Mound, Texas, the Antler Hunt Ranch Rutherford Painting Chevrolet. He will be the first car to get the free pass today. Get back on the lead lap. Rutherford getting the word, and then Black 03 going around the outside of the leaders over in turn 2. Justin Boston's onboard look, the hydrauliccylinders.com onboard camera, as he rolls off pit road over in turn 2 and comes back up onto the backstretch as we get set for a restart. Lights still on. The Chevrolet Camaro safety car, so we'll have at least one more lap of caution. Brandon Jones and the Ansel Menards Toyota is going to be your restart leader. Hey, from hoops to hockey, the diamond to the gridiron, the morning's most outrageous team has you covered. Don't miss Boomer and Carton weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern, live on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
Spencer, I got to ask you a question. There's a lot of running on the bottom in turns 3 and 4. I'm surprised by that. Are you at this point in the race? A lot of the good bite, it seems like, is on the bottom, where you expect Winchester to be a high rim riding place.
You know, that's interesting. I was noticing just the same thing, and I think right now, while there's not a lot of rubber on the racetrack, a lot of guys early in the going, they're running a more defensive line through 3 and 4. That's what I saw Brandon Jones doing over there in 3 and 4, really defended against Grant Enfinger, trying to take away that bottom run so he couldn't get underneath them. But I'm sure as this track begins to rubber up, it's going to start moving up towards the top as these tires wear out.
Thomas Prater back on the racetrack. They've done a little bit of work to the 9 cars, to the DK Lock entry back on the Speedway on the backside. The 55 of Boston back on pit road. Charlie Crawl.
Yeah, just to follow up with that discussion about the grooves on the racetrack, I talked to Tommy Hester, who's very good at Winchester sister track Salem, and he said exactly what Spencer said, that he likes to be able to have an option here, and he's looking forward to getting that car working in the bottom groove.
Saw the 9 of Prater go by a moment ago, didn't realize, so there was so much right rear bodywork damage anyway to the DK Lock Ford. So Thomas Prater back on the racetrack for the restart, but he's got some issues to deal with there because the right rear corner, which would be part of your aero package at a place like this, badly folded underneath. All right, safety car heads to pit road one more time. Lap 37 up on the board. Green flag back in the air. Enfinger and Jones on the front row. The 98 himself, the 6 of Williams as they hammer down into turn 1. Jones on the high side in that yellow and black Menards Ansel Toyota grabs the lead. And here comes Austin Wayne Self in the black 98. Slides up in front of the 6 of Williams to handle third spot. Kyle Weatherman back on the move now. In the Cunningham Ford, that's the 22. Up to 5th in front of Schrader at 6th. Fight for the lead here, Enfinger and the Allegiant Airlines 23 in the blue car on the inside. Jones able to hold on to the point.
Great call, Spencer, on the defensive line here, but I'm surprised how Enfinger is way down there. Yesterday, that was a standing puddle down in 3 and 4. He's got a lot of grip down to the bottom of the inside of the racetrack.
Well, the track crew here did a great job pumping all the water out of turn 4. You wouldn't have thought that that could be possible. It was a couple of feet deep at one point, but it's not there anymore today. So if you get to the inside too far and go down through the grass, you're not going to get stuck down here probably today.
No, but there's certainly never any grip going through the grass. It seems Grant's really giving Brandon a good sweat here, trying to force him to make a mistake, always keeping himself right there on his left rear quarter as he goes off into turn 1. Hopefully he doesn't burn the tires up too much. It's still got a lot of green flag racing to do with these tires.
And that was a universal topic of the crew chiefs I talked to yesterday and today. Saving the right front tire. Try not to put too much emphasis, too much wear, too much heat in that tire. Enfinger from second is really putting the pressure on Jones to try to save something, but he can't.
Story of the day so far, boys. In my mind, you've got Jones and Enfinger, and they've fought all the way in the first 43 laps. Of course, we had 2 lengthy caution periods. But how about the 98? Austin Wayne Self, who was so good here in the Cunningham Ford 2 years ago, nearly won. Has struggled a bit, I think, in the 98 at times this year. But for Mason Mitchell Motorsports, he is on the move, up to third and closing out the leaders as they hit turn 3.
Now that team came here and tested on Monday in a nice sunny day, but they went back to the shop and changed a ton of things. Austin said, I got more comfortability in my driving, but we changed a lot on this race car. So comparative, Monday was a good way to get comfortable. Now he's getting the speed back in the car with the changes they made last night for today.
Jones in the 25 car, still your leader for 5th spot. Meantime, we're talking about Weatherman in the 22, trying to get back toward the lead. The great veteran Ken Schrader, the Federated Auto Mart Chevrolet, on the bottom, trying to get by, and Schrader will move past the 22 and move into 5th spot.
Now, Kenny started in the 8th position, so I asked him during the driver autograph session for the fans here today, I said, what are you going to worry about? You're starting back in 8th. He said, I'm just going to run my pace. It seems to be paying off here, just clicking them off as other teams are starting to fight the handle.
Spencer Gallagher, yesterday when we were watching these cars practice, you told me, hey, if I was a young driver, when I was a young driver, I watched Schrader, and I paced myself off Schrader. The 42 of Bolamastis on pit road. That's the Crosley Brands Dodge. Of course, Crosley Brands bringing you our pit road reports today here as well. Bolamastis in for an early stop, coached by Jeffrey Bodine. On the backstretch, top 2, still the 25 of Jones, the 23 of Enfinger. Would you still do that? Would you pace yourself off of Schrader here?
Oh, absolutely. If there's one thing you can do here that's going to be smart for you as a rookie driver, watch what Kenny Schrader does and do what he does. He's got more laps around this place than almost the entire rest of the field combined, and he knows just the exact pace that he needs to run every lap for these 200-lap runs. Look for Kenny Schrader to be up front before it's done.
Trouble on the backstretch, the 59 of David Levine. That's the other Lira Motorsports entry. He was running 7th. He got up into the wall. That will bring out our 3rd caution flag of the afternoon. Heavy damage there. It looks like a cut down right front tire. Right side of that car badly damaged into the wall. We've got another look at it for you here.
Turn 2 is starting to get tricky and heated up here, Spencer.
Yep, these right fronts. Yeah, look at that. He gets up into the dust, and you get just a little bit too high up into turn 2. It grabs that right front, takes away all your grip, and up into the fence you go.
50 laps are on the board of 200 today here at Winchester Speedway. 3 cautions already. The Lira Motorsports team going to work on David Levine's car. Jim Trado, that's an interesting story of how David Levine got here.
You know, he actually is a road racer from nearby Chicago, and what happened to be a career opportunity was a Richard Petty driving experience contest. There were several factors, including interviews, different types of race cars to drive in a contest mode. The winner got a chance to race in the ARCA Racing Series a couple years back. David won that contest, and he got to race a race with Richard Petty's colors, and he's had a couple of starts.
Charlie Crawl, what's going on with the 59?
Guys are working on the right side of that automobile. You see the right front tire off of that car was flat. Don't know if that's what put him into the outside wall, but the crew working hard on that right side of that car, hoping to get David Levine back out.
They've changed the right side tires. They'll drop him off the jack and send him back out in front of the pace car. Pit road is open with 52 laps on the board. And we know Justin Boston took 2 right side tires, but he had some damage to work on. Thomas Prater in the 9 car also heavily damaged. That car's been to pit road. Bolamastis still on pit road in the 42. Here comes the 27 of AJ Fike. Prater back again down pit road. Now Fike running in 11th spot at the time of the caution. All right, pit road's starting to get busy. We'll take a quick break and come back to Winchester.
ARCA Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Ansel. Ansel protects. By Crosley Brands. Vintage-inspired electronics and stylish home furnishings. From yesterday, today, and tomorrow. CrosleyBrands.com. And by the General Insurance. Get an anonymous free car insurance quote now.
Picture Perfect day for ARCA Racing Series action here at Winchester Speedway. The Herrs chase the Taste 200. I'm Rick Benjamin. Jim Trano is alongside. Driver Spencer Gallagher with us as well today. Charlie Crawl on pit road with our Crosley Brands pit road updates. Charlie, what are you hearing from crew chiefs about pit stop strategy?
Well, we saw the first team come on down and take right side tires. That was AJ Fike. They're looking to go to maybe 120, and they come down and take 4 tires. They're good to go on fuel. The 23 of Grant Enfinger talking about a one-stop strategy. They're going to come when the 25 comes and then decide if they can go the rest of the way.
We'll see how that plays out. Safety car back to pit road, looking for a restart on lap 55. Green flag back in the air at Winchester. Enfinger gets the drop on Jones. 3 wide, the 98 car at the bottom. Taking a look at it, Austin Wayne Self trying and decides to back out of it. It's Enfinger, your leader, down into 3 ahead of Jones and Self and Josh Williams. Here comes the 22 of Weatherman up to 5th position in front of Schrader. The 55 of Boston on the move on the inside. Leader is Enfinger. Now he's gapped Jones by about 4 car lengths. Is this a case, Spencer, of Grant Enfinger, your GMS Racing teammate, needing clean air?
You know, he's definitely running better up into clean air. As we see the replay, or the onboard rather, with Justin Boston. Grant Enfinger is one of the best drivers I've ever seen or heard of at restarts. We just got a great case of right there as he beat out Brandon Jones.
On board here with Boston in the 55 car, 9th after being involved in that incident up in turn 2. The Adventure Indy Motorsports team brought him to pit road. They pulled the right front corner out, gave him right side tires. Maybe made an adjustment or 2 on the car. Boston badly wants to have a great run here today. In position to get back into contention. Another look at the restart here. Jones on the high side. A slow motion look out of 4. That's Enfinger on the inside of the blue car. And Enfinger timed it perfectly.
That was the restart line right there.
Yeah, it's. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I had to race against Grant Enfinger many times. He was the only guy I could never ever shake on restarts. A fantastic job by Grant.
Using that advantage gained on the restart. Your Scott's running over the top of your screen with 62 complete. As Enfinger pulls away now by about 4 car lengths. Lap traffic's going to be critical here. A pretty wide speed differential here at Winchester Speedway today. You've got 10 or 12 really fast race cars as Schrader comes up alongside Weatherman. And some guys who are struggling here, frankly. This is a hard place to get used to if you've never raced here at Winchester before.
Yeah, this is definitely a wild, fast racetrack. You really got to drive it here so much harder than what you're used to at your local short track. And it takes some acclimating to. But you know, these guys in the ARCA Racing Series do a real great job of it.
It is not true that Ken Schrader raced against Ben Herr in chariots, but he's been here a million times. He gets the measure of 17-year-old Kyle Weatherman in the 22 car. Remember last year here, boys, Schrader, we thought, had this race locked up. I mean, we thought they were getting ready to write his name on the big check. Didn't quite play out that way, but he's in great shape here today.
I'll tell you, the one thing I see out of Kenny Schrader's car that I really liked yesterday in practice is his long run speed. Kenny knows just how to pace this race. If there's one guy that's going to be able to take care of his tires better than anyone else in the rest of the field, it's that 52 car right there.
And what we saw at Salem earlier this year, he led 138 laps and dominating that race and winning at age 60. 1 year ago, he led 88 laps, but not the last one. He struggled to finish 4th.
Sitting 5th right now from Fenton, Missouri, Schrader. That Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet. Up front, it's still Enfinger. Is about a straightaway or so to the good on Schrader right now. Behind Schrader, the 22 of Kyle Weatherman in 6th position. How about the 10 car, Clayton Weatherman? His brother, his younger brother, making his first ARCA start, 7th right now.
Clayton is a young man who is very confident in what he does. He's run a lot of Legends cars against his brother, and since Kyle's moved on and became a Roush Fenway Racing Development driver. So this is Clayton's 2nd start. He ran at Salem in this car. And the good mojo is they have the same team around Clayton as they did when Kyle introduced himself to ARCA's Racing Series 2 years ago. There's Clayton.
Clayton Weatherman, also out of Missouri. Number 10 Ford here today. Doing a very, very nice job of closing in on his older brother. Now, bragging rights in the family could be at stake here today.
Yeah, this might make for a little bit of an awkward Thanksgiving dinner here.
Well, you never know. You never know. Hey, it'd be interesting to see what mom and dad think about all this, but having 2 sons doing a great job here at Winchester Speedway, that's a pretty cool thing.
Clayton turned 16 earlier this month. August 28th is the date that Kyle Weatherman circling where he turns 18 and is eligible to run all the races. But what a great job by this Weatherman family. Michael Harper out of Texas said, you're out of Missouri, I'm down here, come here, play with me, learn. They're learning a lot together.
Austin Wayne Self out of Austin, Texas in the 98, the Mason Mitchell Motorsports entry. Closing in on Brandon Jones for 2nd as Grant Enfinger starts to stretch it out here. 71 laps on the board, not far from halfway. All right, boys, if we have a long green flag run, Spencer, you told us at the top of the broadcast you thought long runs would be the key to victory here today. If you're looking at a long green flag run, we've had 3 cautions already. What's your strategy? When do you come to pit road? If you have to do it under green flag conditions, what are you looking for time-wise?
Well, I think if you're coming under green flag conditions, 4 tires is going to be worth a whole lot at this racetrack. So I don't think you want to go an entire fuel run here because you're going to fall off so far off the pace that those other guys that made the decision to come down and get 4, they're going to start running right back around you.
Our top 8 cars have not pitted yet, but the car that's running 8 is Justin Boston. He took 2 right side tires about lap 38 or so. Every team is watching how he's advanced to that position, but he's leveled off now, Rick. So this could mean these teams are saying we can wait longer now. Those rights aren't going to be critical to maintain pace or lap the field with.
Watching the fight for second, Jones in the 25. That's the Ansel Menard's Toyota. The AM Technical Solutions car, the 98 of Austin Wayne Self, side by side on the front straightaway down into turn 1 here. Moving up on the lap car, that's the 03, Kevin Rutherford out of Texas. He'll stay to the inside, let the faster cars go by.
What surprises me here is that Brandon Jones seems to have fallen off the pace a little from what we had earlier. Perhaps the caution cooling these tires down has not really benefited his car, but it seems he's still able to hold up Austin Wayne Self, and that's letting Grant Enfinger just extend that lead.
I believe that the 25's holding up the 98 at the moment, so that does give Enfinger a chance to gain ground. It's hard to find a place to pass here. This is a big half mile with the high banks and the high speeds, but you've got to measure yourself, Spencer, and find a place to make that move.
Absolutely. It's with such a high bank racetrack when you run around the top, momentum is so important here. So when you can run that top line and keep that motor wound up, it really lets you drive off and get a great run down the straightaway. So if you're going to get past somebody on the bottom, you got to make a real slide job out of it and get in front of them.
Caution on the speedway for the 4th time today. Some debris on the front side, we're being told by race control, so that brings out the yellow again. 78 laps are on the board. That will bunch the field back up. The safety car will come back out. Now you're well within the window where you got to be thinking about tires and fuel.
Yeah, I think there's a definite possibility we see some pit stops here. We're starting to get in the window where right side tires possibly are going to help out these race cars a lot. And I see some guys on pit road starting to shake the jitters out, getting ready for stops.
And I think some of the teams are getting the 6-shooters on saying, do we take 2, or if we're only coming once, do we take 4? Right now, this could be the only time because everybody's expecting longer runs in the second half of the race. Very interesting.
So Enfinger in the 23 is your race leader. Jones in the 25, who is clearly slowing down, still holding on to second. The 98 of Self in third. Track crew working on the front side to retrieve the debris. Looked like a piece of sheet metal or plastic to come off one of the race cars, so that's been picked up. That's the reason for our caution. Pit road open, and the leaders are coming your way. Charlie Crosley Brand's pit road reports coming. The 23, the 25, the 98, the 6, the 22, the 52. It is rush hour on pit road. Here's Charlie.
Grant Enfinger coming down at 23 miles per hour. They're looking to take 2 right side tires. Brandon Jones in the number 25. They're looking to make a minute air pressure adjustment to the right front. He was loose in and tight off in that number 25. That's why he had given up some ground on that last green flag run. Jack is down. Grant Enfinger is away. He's going to win the race off of pit road.
So Enfinger first. Schrader will be next in line. Tom Hessert, the third, makes a big move in the 77 to get himself back into contention. He'll be third off of pit road. The 22 of Weatherman will be fourth. Boston now down and away behind Josh Williams. They will be also behind Brandon Jones and Austin Wayne Self. So when you count this all up, Enfinger and Schrader will be toward the top of the charts here when all is said and done. The 22, the 77. We'll resort the scoring when the cars come around to start finish to put lap number 81 on the board. 4th caution flag of the afternoon thus far. Safety car picks up the 06 at the moment as your lead car. That's Con Nicolopoulos out of Michigan. Has not yet pitted. The 31, the 42 of Lamastus. I believe a couple of laps down. AJ Fike, who stopped early in the 27. At the moment being shown as the race leader, as the only other driver on the lead lap. Now, Fike has been to pit road once for 2 tires early. And we'll see how that strategy plays out. The 06, the 31, the 42, not on the lead lap. 59 back on pit road. That's the David Levine car. And Charlie Krall back to pit road. What's going on with Justin Boston?
Yeah, we saw him get involved in that incident over in turns 1 and 2 earlier, and he came back down for 4 tires. Guys, the right front tire on this car still has a significant rub. There is a big groove in the middle of that right front tire. He may have to come back down and work on that right front fender. Another tough break for Justin Boston in the 55.
So he took 2 early. This is it. He's taken his 4. That means he's got nothing left.
Yeah, he's
Fresh
out of tires right now. If I was venturing into motorsports, I might bring him down even one more additional time to make sure that right front's really clear. You know, at a racetrack like this at Winchester, where you're seeing a good bit of travel in that front end as you go off into the corner, the last thing on earth you want to have is a rub in your right front on your very last set of tires.
What they can do is put the tires they started the race on back on the car. Not the best option, but it may be one of their only options with that tire rub through that right side change set and now this set.
Tough break for Justin Boston.
All right, we'll see how things shake out as we get set to line them back up for a restart. Under caution here. Fike is listed as the leader, and they're back down working on the 55, as you can see here. This is the right front corner. The Venturini team working to pull that body work out. Now, you may have noticed a couple of different body styles on some of these ARCA Racing Series machines. This is a traditional ARCA car with a sheet metal body. It's got some composite in it, the nose cone, things like that. There are some other cars that look very much like NASCAR Sprint Cup machines. Those bodies are full composite. The Lyra car that we saw the fire in, the 59, Fike's 27, the 22, and the 77, the 2 Cunningham cars, they're composite body. They look like a current Gen 6 NASCAR Cup car. This is sheet metal. Yeah, composite doesn't pull as easily, but at least you can move the fender on this car.
And that's exactly what Justin Boston said to me. He said, that's what I like about having a steel body car. He has yet to drive one of the composite body cars. He said, I like the fact you can get there and work that fender out if there's a rub, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, he was fortune telling yesterday on what his issues are. But the composite body brought in by 5-star stock car bodies, as we see on our leader, AJ Fike, this is a 12-panel piece molded off the Gen 6 body at 5-star race car bodies in Twin Lakes, Wisconsin. They went right to the wind tunnel with this car after they molded it off a Gen 6 body for the Sprint Cup Series. So it's a new introduction here. Should save the team's money. They're only 135 pounds complete, and the replacement factor is the cost savings most important.
AJ Fike has replaced Grant Enfinger as the restart leader in the 27. You mentioned Jim Trado. They had tested here early. AJ, a very accomplished open wheel racer of long standing, moving more and more into the ARCA Racing Series. You said he was good in this car in Toledo earlier on the CBS Sports Network. Enfinger off pit road first. Fike had pitted earlier. Enfinger will restart technically second. Then you've got Schrader lining up third. The 52 team led by Donnie Richardson did a great job getting Schrader off pit road right behind Enfinger. Green flag back in the air to put lap 84 on the board. We're back underway in Winchester. Enfinger pulls Fike down into turn 1, and here comes Schrader. The 52 on the bottom clears Fike, and Schrader moves to second spot. The 22 of Weatherman battling with Fike for third. The 98 of Austin Wayne Self still a rocket ship. He's back there in the top 5 now in front of Tom Hester. Clayton Weatherman in the 10. That's Andy Hillenberg's car up on the outside. He's in the mix now. Here comes Brandon Jones. You've got 9 or 10 cars very much in contention here as we put lap 85 on the board. Enfinger by 5 car lengths over Schrader.
Fike has 23 lap older right side tires. They've been about lap 61. We're now on lap 86. We see the difference here already taking shape for the restart and the gap he's lost to the leader.
Fike already being shuffled back to 5th in that white 27 in front of Hester in the 77. The 6th car of Josh Williams right there in 8th. And then Brandon Jones all the way back in 9th in the Ansel Menard's 25 car after leading laps earlier. Here comes Hester now over in turn 2 in the Barbara Autoland 77 to the bottom, trying to get by Fike in turn 3. And he makes the pass. Josh Williams next in line. AJ Fike just getting freight trained on the outside here.
Speaking about the full-time teams in this series, it really came to fore with Ken Schrader making up 4 spots on pit road. That team's in every race. They just don't have the same driver in every race. The same can be said for the drivers now running in that second position as Schrader, but also thinking about the teams that have been in the series full-time. Grant Enfinger has been in every race. They made up a lot of spots on pit road, as did the number 98 of Austin himself now on the racetrack, hunting them down from 4th.
Well, and Schrader doesn't drive every race, but the 52 is a full-time team. Donnie Richardson, a NASCAR Cup Series crew chief of many years standing. They know what to do with that car as well, and he gained a lot of ground on pit road as Schrader chops into Enfinger's lead on the backside.
talking to gaining ground, they have really made some incredible improvements to that 52 car. Grant got out to a great start, but Schrader's already going for the pass on the outside.
Schrader blows by the 23 and takes the lead over in turn one. So put Kenny Schrader's name at the top of the leaderboard here at Winchester Speedway in Winchester, Indiana. We are live with you on the CBS Sports Network. I'm Rick Benjamin with Jim Trado, Spencer Gallagher alongside as well. Charlie Crawl with our coverage here on pit road as we close in on halfway, boys. And Schrader now starting to open things up as he pulls a couple of car lengths on Enfinger. Third spot belongs to Kyle Weatherman, who got around the 98 of Austin Wayne Self. I said that car's a rocket ship. You can see Austin Wayne coming toward the leaders. All of a sudden, he started to back up.
Indeed, and I mean, in this cycle, the comers and goers here, the two cars that have really impressed me as this restart goes on is the 52 of Kenny Schrader and that 22 of Kyle Weatherman. When I talked to him on pit road earlier, he didn't seem that confident, but they have really livened that car up as he runs third.
Justin Boston in the 55, the hydrauliccylinders.com entry. Stuck back there in ninth. We have a great onboard look from that car. Trying to close in on Clayton Weatherman in the 10. Andy Illenberg's Ford out of Missouri, running in the 8th position. Good fight there from those two. Jones in the 25, Josh Williams in the 6, Tom Hesser the 3rd in the 77 car.
When Boston's team did come to pit road, they did not change any tires. They just worked on getting that fender clearance. It looks great in the straightaways, but the load going in the corners is such a great amount. Boston yesterday talked a lot about scraping the bottom of his engine compartment, the Brock's member, on this racetrack. So there's a lot of force being forced on the front end of these cars.
Schrader and Enfinger 1 and 2. Weatherman is 3rd. Boarding in with Justin Boston as he works on the 10 car of Clayton Weatherman. Fight for position. 3 and 4. You get a little bit of a sense of how steep the banking is here, but Spencer Gallagher, I imagine the view from the driver's seat isn't anything like what we think it is based on this onboard camera. These hills are big here, right?
Yeah, you don't appreciate how much bank this place has till you sail one of these ARCA cars off in there, and you just feel the entire car just squat into the earth and hook up as you get back to the gas coming off the corner. But it's what they don't call it the fastest half mile around for no reason.
Kenny Schrader is your leader in the 52 car. Grant Enfinger runs 2nd in the 23. 3rd is Kyle Weatherman in the 22 for Cunningham Motorsports. 4th is Austin Wade Self in the 98. Cross flags will be in the air next time by. Schrader down the backstretch. About to put lap number 100 on the board. Your Herr's Chase the Taste 200 mid-race recap brought to you by Herr's Foods. Ken Schrader is your leader at halfway as we see the cross flags. He's led 8 laps so far. One of 4 leaders on the day. We've already had 3 and now working on our 4th caution of the day here at Winchester Speedway.
Got some insight for you, Rick. We know Ken Schrader's hungry. You know why? Because Spencer and I were down on the front stretch, and his wife Annie walked up with a hot dog and said, Kenny, you want this? He said, no, I'm good. You want a glass of water? No, I'm good. So I think he's maybe a little bit hungry, a little bit thirsty, and I guess he got the hot dog, but he didn't want to eat it.
Oh, Spencer.
I was hungry, man.
Johnny on the spot. There you go.
Yeah.
Never say no to a good hot dog.
Oh, my. All right, leaders out of turn number, well, actually over in turn number 2, and Schrader trying to work his way by lap cars as we watch Justin Boston riding with Boston here in 1 and 2. Still riding behind the 10 car of Clayton Weatherman, the 6 of Josh Williams, 7th, 8th, and 9th on the Speedway.
Schrader's experience there, Rick, I'm telling you, that was a scary moment. Schrader got up on a lap car, and that gap went from 10 car lengths to 0 in about a half a second down the backstretch.
But that's the experience talking to a veteran like Schrader. He didn't panic, didn't do anything silly, and kept his lead again as we watched the replay.
When they were stacked up, Lamassus there on the 42, the 97 car. Schrader and Enfinger able to stay on the high side. That exit point at turn 2, it narrows up quickly when you come off too, doesn't it?
It really does. The banking starts to fall away from you, and all of a sudden there's a little more corner than you kind of budgeted for. So you got to kind of almost turn it again as we see the 22 of Kyle Weatherman working over Grant Enfinger for 2nd.
Paul Andrews and the boys on pit road made the right adjustments, I would say, on the 22 car. Weatherman, who started on the front row, started on the pole, in fact, dropped back quickly, and caution again for the 5th time today. Caution waving on lap 105. Looks like the 97 car has gotten into trouble over on the backside. Eric Caudell from Piedmont, Oklahoma. The Honoring America's Warriors Collectors and Filters Dodge.
I'm finding myself not breathing fully here, guys. This is really clicking off pace times, and they're drag racing off of every corner around this high-banked half mile. Holy cow, we're getting some fast speeds out of these cars.
Yeah. So Schrader is your leader. Weatherman is 2nd. Enfinger, the 98 of Self, and the 77 of Hesser. We are past halfway at Winchester Speedway. There's plenty more to come The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards on the CBS Sports Network. Back live at Winchester Speedway, Winchester, Indiana. The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Today it's the Herr's Chase the Taste 200. And our coverage today on CBS Sports Network being brought to you by Calypso Lemonades and Herr Foods. Work going on the DK Lock Ford of Thomas Prater from Alabama. Head into the wall early, along with Bo Lamastus, Justin Boston, just escaping heavy contact. Minor damage to the 55, but the 9 of Prater backed into the wall hard, shortened that thing up on the right rear quite a bit. They've been working to try to square the bodywork up a little bit. A lot of bear bond. They'd love to have the bear bond concession here at Winchester Speedway. You'd be in business for a lifetime.
And this is the month of June that the Prater family wants to forget. Their hauler is in Louisville right now. They've been working on a Bo Lamastus shop. They've been housing parts 10 miles away at the Kimmel Racing shop, because they've had hauler issues, they've had accidents. This is a car they've only run once before. They're working through those issues of the dead battery when they got here in this race car, the thrash to get here. I think they're going to be ready for July 1st real quick.
Ready for a change of racing luck, no question about that. All right. Pit stops complete for those who needed them. Ken Schrader in the 52 will be your restart leader. I'm impressed by Kyle Weatherman and by what the Cunningham Motorsports crew has given him to work with. Paul Andrews, the crew chief, of course, we've got a great memory for this sport. He was Alan Kulwicki's crew chief in 1992, the year that Alan won the NASCAR then Winston Cup championship. The 59 car of David Levine gets the free pass, picks up an opportunity to get back on the tail end of the lead lap. But at the 22, back running very, very quickly as well. Ken Schrader's wife.
Yeah, there's Annie.
Well-known Ann Schrader. Watching things from pit road, listening to the radio chatter, as her husband Ken has been doing this an awfully long time. Didn't get a chance to talk. I just said hello to Schrader yesterday. Didn't get a chance to talk to him extensively. But one of the things I love about Schrader is not only does he field this ARCA car full-time and driving quite a bit, he'll run 60 dirt races. I mean, they've had the dirt modified and been on the road the last couple of weeks.
Well, there's a good reason that Kenny's one of the living legends of racing today. He's everywhere at once, man. It's incredible how much racing he's able to accomplish in a year.
And Annie yesterday had a lot of friends stop by because she had a big umbrella. So anytime you want to chat with Annie, she stood at the pit gate, held court. A lot of fun, catch up with a great bunch of folks. And during the autograph session, she was meeting a lot of folks that they continue to interact with. And no matter what Kenny drives, they always show up and watch Kenny race.
It's well worth the price of admission. Schrader doing a terrific job today in the 52 to power that car into the lead. Started back in 8th, again based on owner points because qualifying was rained out. Menards pole qualifying rained out here yesterday at Winchester Speedway. Green flag about to return. 88 laps to go when they catch the green. Working lap 112 this time by of 200 today here at Winchester Speedway. Chevrolet safety car on pit road. Schrader on the high side. Outdrags young Kyle Weatherman. 43 years younger on the inside. Schrader by a car as they power off turn 2 under green. Third spot belongs to Austin Wayne Self. 4th is Enfinger. 5th is Jones. 6th is Hessert. 7th is Clayton Weatherman. On board, Justin Boston in the 55. In the top 10 now. Working his way back to 9th position. Trying to close in on the 6th of Josh Williams, who is 1 spot ahead.
If you would ask Kenny Schrader, you're 60 years old, why do you keep doing this? These last 3 laps are the very reason why he loves racing the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards.
Yeah, these cars definitely agree with him, and he always puts on a great show here. Kenny Schrader is one of the more respected drivers around the garage for this exact reason.
Boston on the inside of the 55, trying to get by Josh Williams in the 6th. Talked to Justin yesterday, ARCA champion. He said, man, the transition to the Truck Series, even though he's running for the Kyle Busch Motorsports team, great equipment. You race against him, Spencer, all the time in the Truck Series. He said it's been a hard adjustment for him the first part of this year. He wanted to come here and get his confidence back.
Absolutely. You know, a day back in these ARCA Racing Series cars on a classic short track like this, it's a great shot in the arm for any driver. I mean, those trucks are so different to drive, really galaxies away. So I'm sure Justin, even though he's had some early troubles, is having a great time today.
Boston with the 55, working on the 8th place car of Josh Williams, that orange number 6. Back on board the hydrauliccylinders.com 55 car. And right behind these cars, 1 spot further back, is the 48. That is the car that is fielded by the legendary James Harvey Hilton. 48 car being driven here today by James Swanson from Clarksboro, New Jersey. Charlie Crawl, how about a Crosley Brands Pit Road report? The 48 team doing a great job today.
Yeah, 79-year-old James Hilton on the pit box, calling the shots for James Swanson here today. James looking to pick up his second career top 10 finish, and he's pulling out all the stops. They've got a great car. He's got 4 fresh tires on that automobile, and he is looking to keep it in the top 10 here to the finish.
They pitted on the last pit stop, but more importantly, this team has an ARCA Elmore 396 engine. The majority of the field has them. This year, it's new to the team, but James said, man, we are as fast as everybody else. They're showing it here with James Swanson, an ARCA veteran for the last couple of years.
Something ARCA developed over the last many months coming into the 2015 season, available to teams early in the year. And they told us originally they thought they might put 15 to 20 of them in cars. Almost 60 of them have gone to teams. The teams love them. They're very durable, very powerful. And obviously it gives a chance to a team like James Hilton's team, not one of the better funded teams on the tour, to have a shot to run in the top 10.
Yeah, it's one of the best things ARCA's done in recent years is introducing this Elmore engine program. It's been such a big field leveler for all these drivers out there. It really has equalized the field and brought these teams up like the one fielded by James Hilton into contention.
We're on a bump and run there on Boston as they fight for 9th. And John Swenson's going to move by him in the 48 car.
James out of New Jersey really got excited when he had a chance to race this car. If you joined us early in the season or watched the race at Talladega, you saw an accident with this team. Brad Smith got hurt. He's on the mend. Thank goodness I saw him at the racetrack. He's doing really great on his rehab, but Swanson got the call. Hey, James wants you to drive his car. He said, man, I'm so excited to drive for these guys. They finished 11th at Michigan on the 2-mile track, so they're really making progress.
Boston gets back by the 48, so Justin Boston in the Venturini Toyota, the 55 car. Able to reestablish 9th for the moment, but Josh Swanson not giving up by any means in that fight for 9th position as Schrader continues to lead. Schrader, your leader. Second spot now is Austin Wayne Self. Weatherman has faded back to 3rd. And look at this as we ride again with Justin Boston. Right in front of him is the 23 Grant Enfinger. The GMS Racing Chevrolet, the Allegiant Airlines car, slowing down with perhaps a problem. Certainly off the pace he was able to keep earlier in this race.
They came in the pits with the lead. They kept that lead with a 2-tire change when everybody else pitted, but something's not working on the 23 car.
Charlie Crawl on pit road. What's going on with the 23?
Just checked with the team guys. Grant reports the car is very loose on entry to the corners. He's having a hard time hanging on to it, and he's just got to woe it back and keep it under control and wait till they get back down pit road to make another adjustment.
Got clean racetrack in front of him. That's not good. He's about a second off his earlier pace.
Yeah, he's really lost a lot of speed. Just watching between him and the 55 and Justin Boston. Boston's able to roll a lot more center speed through the corner, and I think that's Grant not being able to get it into the corner. He's having to be real easy to avoid trying to back that thing into the fence. So seems those adjustments haven't agreed the long run with Grant.
Championship leader by 85 points coming in here today. A top 10 certainly won't hurt him any, but I know he had his hopes set on something better than just a top 10 finish.
Well, he's got a fast car, and it's only lap 130. This race is far from over, but he definitely needs to put 4 tires of work on that thing whenever they can.
70 to go here at Winchester Speedway as we watch Enfinger over in turn 3. Schrader continuing to lead in the 52. His advantage about 10 or 12 car lengths now over Austin Wayne Self in the 98. Now, we've talked about the 98 a couple of different times here. That car seems to react very well to fresh tires and an adjustment. Self's been a rocket ship a couple of times, but he hasn't been able to sustain the pace.
No, but Mason Mitchell's been right involved with this whole team. Mason finished second 1 year ago in this race car. They rebodied it in the offseason. It's one of the original 5 that Mason Mitchell Motorsports built at the beginning of last year. A lot of updates. They went through the entire car this week. When they came back to the track, a whole different setup. But Austin said, I think I've got something for him here today, and he's proven it.
Austin Wayne Self running second behind race leader Ken Schrader in the Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet. Inside 70 to go at Winchester Speedway. Back with more in a moment on the CBS Sports Network. Back at Winchester Speedway, Winchester, Indiana on CBS Sports Network. Caution again for the 6th time today because Bo Lamastus got into trouble in the Crosley Brands Dodge coming off turn number 4. Take a look here. Bo able to lock him up and not hit anything hard, but what he did hit was one of the water barrels that protects the end of pit road. Might have a little help there. Is that A.J. Fike behind him? Lamastus crossed up. He's learning how to do this with the help of Jeff Bodine and right into one of the water barrels. Now, you'd think no big deal, right? Well, there is something to this because the water barrel itself ruptured, and that has put water out on the racetrack at the head of the front straightaway. Meantime, with caution on the speedway for the 5th time, 59 laps remaining. The Winchester Speedway track crew back at it. They'll have to put Speedy Dry down, mop up the water at the entrance to the front stretch on the inside, also the entrance to pit road. Pit road will be open this time. All right, fellas, less than 60 to go. Is this it? Is this your opportunity to make your last stop of the day?
I got to call it. I think they're coming. I think all the crew chiefs on pit road are thinking this is getting ready to go the rest of the way. And yep, sure. Here we go.
Ken Schrader will lead the leaders onto pit road for what could be the final stop of the day. Charlie Crawl. Schrader stopping at the head of pit road, the 98 in. Here comes Weatherman. Jones in the 25, the 77, the 10, and the 6. What's going to happen with the 23, Charlie? Here he comes. Enfinger headed your way.
They're going to make a major right front tire pressure adjustment on the 23 to tighten him up on this 4-tire stop. Grant Enfinger very unhappy with the handling of the number 23 Allegiant Travel Chevrolet. He had dropped all the way back to 9th. On the other hand, Kenny Schrader, you see him moving down pit road. He was very happy with that automobile on that last green flag run. No changes on the 52.
Schrader will be the first car off of pit road, so he will maintain the lead. Right behind him to take back second spot will be the 98 of Austin Wayne Self. Brandon Jones in the 25, who started on the front row earlier. He will come off pit road in third in front of Tom Hessert the third in the 77, about to become a dad for the first time. The 23 of Enfinger, the 10 of Clayton Weatherman, the 55 of Boston, the 22 of Kyle Weatherman, AJ Fike, and Josh Williams. Those are your players today as we get closer to 50 laps to go. So Schrader decided to come to pit road, and that was the signal for the contenders to come down pit road as well. And Schrader talking to crew members there as she listens in to her husband's radio discussion with Donnie Richardson about how the rest of this race will play out. The Doug Gottlieb Show is fast-paced, always opinionated. Get to know Gottlieb face-to-face with the Doug Gottlieb Show weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. With Jim Trado, Spencer Gallagher, I'm Rick Benjamin, Charlie Crawl with our coverage today on pit road, our Crosley Brands pit road coverage today. Justin Boston will restart toward the head of the class in the 55, but everybody chasing Schrader in the Federated Chevrolet. Now, Schrader dominated a good chunk of this one last year. Couldn't close the deal because we had accidents, action, pit stops, excitement at the end of the race. Brandon Jones knuckled Mason Mitchell on the last lap to win.
Turn 3 was his friend because he went in there for all the glory and he came out with the win.
And now we've seen pit stops probably for the final time. Charlie Crawl, what do you think now that you've seen these teams kind of play this one out for 150 laps today?
Yeah, Rick, I'll tell you what, this caution flag could not have been better timed for several of these drivers. Justin Boston had lost all grip on those right side tires in the 55. He came down, took 4 fresh tires. Same thing there with the 77 of Tommy Hessert. He was just a little bit too tight. They made the same adjustment on that car that they did the first time down pit road. He looks to get back up towards the front. He's very good on these ultra-high bank racetracks. And some problems with the number 22 on pit road. The jack came down while he was down here making his 4-tire stop, and that is why Kyle Weatherman lost some spots down here on pit road.
James Swanson, we talked about James Hilton's team, the 48. James Swanson out of New Jersey driving the 48 now. After Brad Smith started the year in that car, Swanson not stopping that time. He will be shown as the restart leader. He will drop to the bottom of the racetrack. Without fresh tires, you'd have to think he won't be able to stay there for very long. Schrader and Jones, Self and Hessert, Enfinger and Clayton Weatherman, Boston and Kyle Weatherman, Fike and Williams, who's been hanging around all day in the top 5, top 10. Green flag back in the air, 56 to go. Schrader and Swanson down into turn 1.
Wow. Self on the inside again. It's the third time he's looked to that bottom to get the advantage on a restart. It's going to work this time.
Austin Wayne Self out of Texas in the 98 car trying to use the bottom. Jones moves to second spot. Self is third. Swanson wasn't able to hang with the leaders because he doesn't have fresh tires. What about Enfinger, the points leader in the 23, up to 4th right now after pitting for adjustments. On board with Boston. In that 55 car, he's back around 7th spot. On the inside of Clayton Weatherman. Hessert the 3rd in the 77, running in 5th. The 55 of Boston now running 7th behind Swanson in the 48. Up front, Jones trying to close in on Schrader. Self is 3rd, Enfinger is 4th.
got just a little high that time. Seems to me that he's moving his line around the racetrack, trying to make up some time on Kenny Schrader here. It's go time, boys and girls. We're just about to hit 50 laps to go. There's no more waiting this one out.
Brandon Jones taking a look to the inside of Schrader. Over in turn 2. Jones powering, going for the lead. The winner here a year ago. Made a last lap, last turn pass. Body slammed Mason Mitchell's car, the 98.
That move started a lap ago right here in entering turn number 1. He hard braked into the corner to get even with Schrader off of turn 2, and it paid off for the youngster.
Brandon Jones taking the lead away from Kenny Schrader. Here comes Self now. Schrader off of pit road first. He's led the last several dozen laps. But now Jones, after pitting for adjustments himself, able to clear the 52 and start to drive away.
But that move to the bottom may cost Austin Wayne Self the 3rd spot here as Grant Enfinger's hunting around on the top side. If he gets up to the top of him as he does now, he may well freight train him here.
Jones your leader. 3rd spot in play. Enfinger in the blue 23. Self in the black 98 fighting for it. They're side by side. Schrader runs 2nd.
Self was a bottom feeder here 2 years ago to finish 2nd to Frank Kimmel. He's trying to make that line work, but I don't think it's working right now. I think the 23 is certainly a better run into turn 1 here. Self in that black number 98, not able to keep pace.
Yeah, Self was making a strong effort to pass Mr. Schrader there, but he sat on the bottom too long, started losing speed, burning that right front up, and Grant made the right move, jumped to the top side of him, and ran right around him.
Talk to these drivers in the ARCA Racing Series. Jim, Spencer, a lot of drivers will say, man, momentum track, got to stay high. Maybe not as much in 1 and 2 as you want to in 3 and 4, right?
Definitely. It's if you've got a good enough handling car, you can make a pass on the bottom here, but you've really got to not be afraid of driving it off in there and getting up in front of him before he can get back to the gas and get the momentum on you.
Schrader was under attack a moment ago by Enfinger for 2nd spot. Here's Enfinger again off of 2 on the bottom. You can use that high line and dive to the bottom, get alongside the car you're working on, but Schrader on the preferred high side coming off 4, able to hold the spot.
Yeah, you see just like that, Grant's going to gain a little ground through the center of the corner here, but once they both get back to the gas, Kenny's got that motor just a little more wound up, and it carries him down the straightaway.
Schrader hanging on for 2nd. The 98 car of Austin Wayne Self right there as well. A terrific 3-way battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Meantime, Brandon Jones, Charlie Crawl, continuing to add to his lead as we close in on 40 laps remaining.
Yeah, he is extremely happy with that race car, as you can probably tell as he stretches out that advantage. They have not touched a bolt on that car all afternoon long. The only adjustment they made on that last stop was a minor tug on that right front fender, and he looks to stretch out that lead even more.
Austin Wayne Self, meantime, clearing Schrader for 2nd spot over in 3 and 4. Enfinger right there as well. Spencer Gallagher, you've got to have mixed feelings about this. Jones is your teammate at GMS Racing in the Truck Series. Enfinger carrying the blue GMS colors here today. You're a winner either way.
Yeah, you know, I'm sitting here watching Brandon run up front as we watch the pass for 2nd here. There's Austin Wayne Self getting right underneath the 52 of Kenny Schrader. Gets a good run off that corner. Kenny's car seems to be falling off just a little bit, just enough for Self to get by there. But like you said, it's a thrill to see Brandon up front, but at the same time, I'm willing that 23 car forward for GMS Racing.
Jones is your leader, Self is 2nd, Enfinger 3rd, Schrader now falling back to 4th. As we ride with Justin Boston over in turn 2 as he works on the 77 car. Tom Hessert III, the Barbara's Autoland entry. That's a team car in the 22 of Kyle Weatherman. This is for 5th spot. Boston trying to take it away from Hessert here on the front straightaway.
Hessert's done a really nice job today. Quietly running about 6th, 7th, 8th. He had a great pit stop, made up some spots there. Racing here with Boston. Boston again changed 4 tires on the last pit stop, so his car is coming to life on older rubber. So this is an interesting dynamic as things close into the finish here, how these guys are able to find traction here at Winchester.
Yeah, Justin seems to have the faster car right now, but Tom is able to run in that preferred high side line and keep from getting any momentum on it. But Justin's going to keep working him over here. We'll see what happens.
77 of Hessert is 5th. The 55 of Boston is 6th. 35 laps remaining here today in Winchester. Down into turn 1.
See there, Boston's trying to cut underneath. Hessert trying to get a run up off of that corner, but that extra momentum, Hessert's there to keep him carry on the top side, keeps him in the lead there.
Brandon Jones in the Ansel Menards Toyota continuing to lead. He's got about 20 car lengths over Austin Wayne Self and Grant Enfinger as we continue to watch this battle for 5th.
insert going into turn 1 and 2, I thought was going to find himself in the parking lot that last lap. But way up the hill, and then he chopped down off of turn 2 to maintain that spot.
Yeah, Tommy's definitely losing a little stability in his race car getting into the corner. The question is Justin Boston going to be able to get enough of a run to capitalize on it coming off?
Pole sitter Kyle Weatherman right there as well, 5th, 6th, and 7th in play. Weatherman driving the Cunningham Motorsports Ford, leading the Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge. This is one of those events. Also, this is the short track representative this year in the Bill France 4 Crown Challenge, which takes in results at Talladega Superspeedway, New Jersey Motorsports Park here, and then our next telecast at the Illinois State Fairgrounds in Springfield, coming up in the month of August, one of the mile dirt tracks on the schedule.
It's a really prestigious award to win, considering that the 4 different disciplines come to fore every year. Bill France and John Markin, we started the ARCA Racing Series way back. They were buddies when they were all in the Fort Wayne area, and they really have held that true, where the France family and the Markin family, now with Rod Drager at the helm, have kept that together. The Bill France, in honor of him and the relationship with ARCA for so many years, has a prestigious award on the line for the driver who has the best finish over all those 4 races.
There's your race leader, Jones, in the yellow and black Ansel Menard's Toyota. Second spot, the 98 car, Boston Wayne Self. We follow back to Justin Boston. Kyle Weatherman running 6th and 7th. Hesser continues to run 5th. There's Weatherman now, making a move on Boston, trying to get 6th away from him.
Seems Justin's car's fallen off a little bit when he was pressuring Tom Hessert. It's Kyle Weatherman may well get this done here. Boston's losing just a little too much speed right now for his tires. And remember, he is on that older rubber.
Well, it is easy to abuse your right side tires here, no question about it. The high banks, the high horsepower here. It's gotten to be a warm, sunny day. You can drive off that right front a little too hard here at times, right?
It's absolutely possible. This is the warm, slick track. It's taken a lot of rubber. You know, the inclination is to push the car as hard as you can, especially when you're right up somebody's backside like that. It makes a driver see the red mist. But as we're seeing from Justin Boston, it's a little easy to burn that right front up.
On board with Boston, the hydraulics onboard camera. And we got a look there as Boston kind of faded back a little bit. HydraulicCylinders.com on board. Kenny Schrader in the 52 maybe losing some pacing as well. With 25 laps to go, Boston's gotten by him. So Schrader, who led a lot of laps in the middle of this one, seems to be slowing dramatically here in the late stages as he gives up a ton of ground and falls behind Boston. Now Clayton Weatherman in the 10 is going to be up to challenge Schrader. Still Brandon Jones out in front with 25 laps to go. He's got a comfortable lead, at least for the moment. Although Austin Wayne Self and Grant Enfinger aren't given up by any means. Here's Schrader apparently brushing the wall a moment ago. Take another look at what happened here, fellas. Down in turn 1 on the high side of the 77. Schrader got up in the marbles, I think.
Yeah, he's starting to lose the stability of that ride going into the corner. You can see him wiggle and dance just a little bit as he starts to get up the hill. And I'm here to tell you there is no more terrifying a feeling for a driver than that.
And he has right front fender damage on the Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet. That's hampering his efforts to get in the corner and get that car turned. It's body damage on the right front fender, right above the wheel.
Schrader has fallen back now to 8th spot in front of Williams. As we watch Jones continuing to lead. The 98 of Austin Wayne Self, the 23 of Enfinger. They've got a fight going for second here.
And I'll tell you guys what's impressive is even though these two are battling each other, the 98 and 23, they've started to close the gap up to Brandon Jones.
It was a 1.7 second lead for Jones while there were 3 cars battling for second. Look at him now as a single file run here. They're catching him in a hurry.
Coming up on 20 laps to go next time by. Over on the backside, Schrader way off the pace. He may have a tire coming down. Looks as though Schrader is going to have to make a green flag unscheduled stop with 20 to go. As Kenny Schrader, very slow off of turn 4. Charlie Crawford.
He comes down to the attention of this crew. They're going to head to the right side of that automobile. Apparently, one of those right side tires going soft, sending him up into the outside wall. Doesn't look like they're going to do too much work to the body yet. Now they're going to that right front fender. Here they come. Now they're going to come to the left side tires. 4 tires on this car. They're going to put the tires they started the race on. And Kenny Schrader losing a lot of time down here on pit road.
Working on the left side of the car now, changing some tires there as well. 19 laps remaining. Schrader was a lap down. Unfortunately, has been the win here at Winchester. Will go by the boards here in 2015. Top 3 under a blanket as Schrader's team finishes servicing the Federated Chevrolet, getting Schrader down and away. Jones going to have his hands full here shortly, boys. Austin Wayne Self on the charge over in turn 3. Schrader observing the 23-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit here at Winchester Speedway. Top 3 debris under a blanket over in turn 2. Jones, the 98 himself, the 23 of Enfinger.
Yeah, we got a race on our hands here, boys and girls, as we head towards the 15 lap mark. What was once a several-second gap to the leader is just now down to just under 2/10 back to the 98.
And consider the fact that the 25 car, Brandon Jones, doesn't seem like he's had anything go wrong. The other two cars have caught him, and caught him in a hurry here.
It does not take long to see your grip start to go away and you start backing up to the rest of the field. Charlie Krall at Crosley Grand's Pit Road Report. What are they saying about these 3 race cars?
Right now, the 98 team extremely happy with that automobile. Austin Wayne Self has not said much since they've been down on pit road for that 4-tire stop. As you can see, he has closed that gap considerably right now on Brandon Jones.
Jones, Self, and Enfinger, your top 3, and caution with 14 laps to go. Caution again, our 7th of the day. Some debris again on the racetrack. Looks like a piece of
That's a tire carcass, if I'm not mistaken. That looks an awful lot like a tire carcass.
See what happens here. Got a replay for you. There it is in the middle of the racetrack.
Josh Williams
was
slowing.
6 ran over it, yeah. Looks like it might be a piece of paneling of some sort off one of these race cars. All right, quick timeout for us. Right back in Winchester. Back live at Winchester Speedway, Winchester, Indiana, on the CBS Sports Network. I'm Rick Benjamin with Jim Trado is here, Spencer Gallagher as well, and down on pit road, Charlie Krall today. The Herr's Chase the Taste 200, running the Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge. Charlie Krall with us for the first time. We welcome him to our team. A great job today with our Crosley Brands pit road updates. Boys, riding with Justin Boston here after the late caution for debris. A few cars coming down pit road. Boston will start 5th in this car. One of the things we notice here, if you can cool your tires down, which all these cars have been able to do under this caution now, it can change the dynamics of this thing a great deal.
Absolutely. It's been proven time and time again on these restarts that these cars, when they get the tires cool, rolling around under caution, they can take off with a real different driving characteristic than what they've been running around under green, and that's where we're seeing so much shuffle on these restarts.
And for the first time, we're seeing everyone on the same cycle at the head of the field. Everybody except for the cars that just pitted on pit road. Clayton Weatherman came down pit road, as did AJ Fike, just for some right side adjustments, no tire changes. But as that all plays out, we've got an equal playing field. Who's got the best piece for these final 10 laps?
1 lap till our restart, which will mean we'll have 9 laps of green flag racing to go here today. And one of the changes ARCA made as the crews look on from pit road, double file restarts all the way home.
It had been where the lead lap cars would be single file, lap cars behind them on single file restarts, but the adaptation of double file restarts, fans love it. These drivers are probably saying, do we have to? I want to get a good run. I don't want to be racing for 5 other guys for second place.
So Brandon Jones in the 25 drove a different car here a year ago. The 98, which was driven by Mason Mitchell. It's the Mason Mitchell Motorsports 40. Won the championship last year, but stepped out of the car. Austin Wayne Self driving that car now as Mason works to get into the Camping World Truck Series full time. He's the crew chief for the team here today. So a little bit of deja vu here. Does the 10 car with a problem, Clayton Weatherman, who was up in the top 10, stopping down on the apron in turn 1. So that certainly will keep the caution flag out. We thought we were going green this time by, and the caution flag will stay out. Charlie Krall, these two, the car of the 98 and the driver of the 25, they were the players in some great drama here 1 year ago.
And Rick, that's not been forgotten by Mason Mitchell on top of the pit box here this afternoon. He was just on the radio with Austin Wayne Self, and he said, you know what? I shot it out here last year with Brandon Jones. I know exactly how he handled me. He's giving that young driver behind the wheel of that number 98 some pointers on how to defend against that exact same move here this afternoon.
Spencer Gallagher, you've been of the opinion all day that on a restart like this, you want to start on the outside. Jones gets the choice. He's picked the outside lane. If you're Austin Wayne Self, how do you counter that?
You know, you're going to have to get pretty aggressive with this restart if you're Austin Wayne Self. It's go time here. We're going to be restarting, I would hazard a guess, with almost 5 laps to go. These cars got fenders on them. I believe we're going to see them used before it's done with here.
There's a reason why there's full body work on an ARCA Racing Series car.
Yep.
Well, Brandon Jones has not reached the age of 20 just yet. He's got a 10-time ARCA Series champion as his spotter, Frank Kimmel, telling this young driver, make sure those tires are clean, make sure you get it clean through the gearbox. They are working together as teammates this year. Frank's just running 10 races, Brandon the other 10 in the Veteran Motorsports 25.
So Jones will be your restart leader on the outside of row number 1. Now the second row will have Grant Enfinger, the championship leader in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards in the Allegiant 23. And alongside him on the outside, the 22 of Kyle Weatherman, who is leading the points in the Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge coming in here. This is one of those races, as well as being a Bill Krantz four-crown race. So Weatherman with an opportunity. Third row, Boston in the 55, Hessert in the 77. Neither of those cars have sniffed the lead here today. I want to give a shout-out, too, to the fourth row. Sarah Cornett-Ching in the 2. One of the Bill Krantz four-crown contenders right now. Will restart 7th. And Jimmy talked earlier about her record of putting some top 10s together in this RaceNet 101 entry. RaceNet101.com. And then the 48, Josh Swanson driving James Harvey Hilton's car. He'll line up 8th for the restart. Fike, and then the 03 will come along next. That's Kevin Rutherford out of Texas, a rookie contender as well. So Schrader will be able to restart back there in 11th spot. The 10 of Clayton Weatherman alongside. The 59 of David Levine. Josh Williams in the 6. Got the free pass earlier, but has lost ground since then. Will line up a little further back in the field, about the 14th or so, for this restart today. Lead lap cars end with Williams, who actually is being shown 7th. Safety car to pit road. 6 to go as they come to the line, and Jones gets the drop on Self.
What a restart. Holy cow.
Brandon Jones, but Self with a good drive off turn 2 is able to stick right with him. Enfinger and Weatherman fighting for third. The 98 body slams the 25, and Austin Wayne Self takes the lead.
Here we go, boys. Checkers or records from here on out.
5 laps to go that time by. We'll see if Brandon Jones can mount a charge on Austin Wayne Self. 8 tires are better than 4. That's what got Jones to victory lane here 1 year ago.
Self is at the whip. I thought for sure that 2-car length disadvantage he had on the restart would be huge, but he made it back up in a single turn here at Winchester.
Yeah, but we're not done here, boys. If Brandon Jones can get back to Austin Wayne Self, I think you guys are going to see that paid right back. But let's not count out Grant Enfinger stalking in that 3rd spot. He's going to take advantage if either of these guys should slip up.
3 laps to go this time by. Self, Jones, Enfinger, and Weatherman, your top 4. Boston is 5th. Hessert is 6th. The top 6 have pulled away. Sarah Cornett-Ching is 7th, but she's getting passed now by Josh Swanson for 7th. 2 laps to go this time by. There are 2 to go in Winchester. Self is still your leader. Jones is 2nd. Enfinger trying to move by the 25 and take 2nd. Weatherman 4th. Boston is 5th. The 77 of Hessert is 6th. White flag will be in the air this time for Austin Wayne Self, who nearly won here 2 years ago. Jones not in touch with the leader. Enfinger in the 23. Battling hard for 2nd. We'll see if either of those drivers has anything for the race leader. That's the fight for 2nd you're watching. Your leader in the 98. Austin Wayne Self. Checker flag is in the air, and Austin Wayne Self is your winner. His first career victory comes here at Winchester Speedway, the 7th consecutive first-time winner in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. The Mason Mitchell Motorsports team high-fiving as they turn the tables on Brandon Jones today into Herr's Chase the Taste 200. We'll come back and talk to the winner in just a moment.
ARCA Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Herr's, presenting sponsor of ARCA Racing on CBS Sports Network. Herr's, live life with flavor. By Calypso Lemonades, proud sponsor of ARCA Racing on CBS Sports Network. Real lemons, real sugar, real lemonade. Calypso Lemonades. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Back live at Winchester Speedway with the winner of the Herr's Chase the Taste 200. Here's Charlie Krall.
Jubilation down here in Victory Lane. Austin Wayne Self, what's it like to be sitting in Victory Lane here at the Winchester Speedway?
2 years ago, 2013, second start here, finished 2nd to Frank, and I told him next time I got a chance I wasn't going to do that. Fortunately, he wasn't racing today, but Mason Mitchell Motorsports, Mark Browning, all these guys gave me an awesome car, and we just worked on it a little bit throughout the day, and I told them they gave me a good car. We're going to do everything we can to win this race, and it feels so sweet to be here.
Congratulations to Austin Wayne Self, winner here at the Winchester Speedway. First career victory here in the ARCA Racing Series.
And he did it by turning the tables on our 3rd place finisher, Brandon Jones, and the Menards Ansel Toyota. Body slam Jones up in 3 and 4, which is how Jones beat Self 1 year ago. Enfinger comes home 2nd in the Allegiant Chevrolet. Weatherman takes 4th. Justin Boston rounds out the top 5. Clayton Weatherman comes back for 11th in front of Kevin Rutherford with a nice job. Kenny Schrader led a lot of laps again, has to be disappointed.
Just didn't have the car. Once he brushed that wall, it did not respond after they made that pit stop.
Peterson, Howerton, Mark Mernier, Michael Lira, Mike Abram, and Alex Clubb. The rest of your 26-car field are race results presented by Calypso Lemonade. So Austin Wayne Self gets his first career victory here at Winchester Speedway. For Jim Trado, Spencer Gallagher, Charlie Crawl, and our entire crew, I'm Rick Benjamin. In association with ARCA, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. We'll see you in the month of August from Springfield, Illinois. Next up, V8 Supercars from Hidden Valley, Australia. Have a great Sunday, everybody.